Jim Rohn once said that action breeds motivation. You have to take action first and the motivation will follow. So I'm going to ask you this question. How long have you been almost ready? How long has the business idea been sitting in your note app? How long has that idea been waiting or you have been waiting for the perfect moment? How long has the podcast been almost launched? The course almost done, the product almost ready to ship. I want to be honest with you right now. There's no perfect moment. There's no like fully ready. There's only you ship it now or you don't. You do it now or you don't. You get it started right now or you don't. Every single day, when you are waiting, someone else who is less qualified, with worse idea than yours, who has less experience than you, experience that are not even closer to what you have, is shipping their version. They are building an audience along the way. They are getting better. They are making adjustment and learning from their failure. And while you are waiting, guess what? They are moving ahead. Welcome to Bless One Podcast, and I am Stefan, always, as you guys already know. And today we are talking about the most expensive disease in entrepreneurship, waiting to be perfect, waiting for the perfect moment. Let's go. I understand the impulse. I really do. You have a vision for what things should be. You see it at its best. You see it polished, you see it professional, you see it impressive, and yet what you have built right now isn't what you want yet. It's not that yet. I really understand that. You wait, you refine, you tweak, you make improvement. You tell yourself you will launch when it is ready. But here's actually what is happening. You are using perfection as a protection because as long as the thing isn't out yet, it can't fail. As long as the podcast isn't launched, nobody can criticize it. As long as the product isn't listed, nobody can reject it. Perfectionism isn't a quality standard. It is a fear of wearing a productivity mask. It really is. And I know this because I live it. Trust me, I know a lot about trying to be perfect. I second guess Bless One podcast for a long time. And you are right now listening to Bless One podcast. But I second guess it for a long time. For longer than I should have. I rewrote the ebook more times than it was actually necessary. I kept asking myself, is this good enough? Is the audio quality good enough? Is the branding right? Like, is the authority right? The answer I eventually had to accept was, it is good enough to start. And as I am doing it, I can make progress. And starting is the only way to get good at something. You cannot get good if you do not start. So, let me give you a framework. 5 principles I use to get things out of my head and into the world. Principle number one, a version one beats version never. You have to be aware of it. My version one will always beat version never, because if you never do something, if you never ship something, then you will never know what a version one feels like. You have to get it started with version one, even though it is not perfect. Whatever you are building, the first version entire job is to exist, not to be great, not to win a award, to exist so you can learn from it. You have to post one episode at a time. The first version of Bless One podcast was not what it is right now, right? And I am still getting better. I'm still processing it. I'm still learning. And as I'm watching it being wild in public, I'm gathering feedback from the fan. I'm gathering feedback from all my audience. The first version of the ebook was rougher than the current one, right? Because I used to say a lot of when I'm speaking. Now I am making a progress. But guess what? That first version exists or is existed. And because it existed, I got feedback. I learned what worked, I improve it. How would I have known about my if I didn't post at least one episode? Version 1 is not the destination. Version 1 is just the launch pad. You are starting from somewhere. You have to have some base. Principle number 2, your audience doesn't want perfect. They want real. They want you, right? They want your experience. This is one of the most counterintuitive things I have learned as a content creator, right? People don't connect with perfection because no one is perfect. They connect with authenticity, with the real you. They connect with someone who is figuring things out. Connect with someone who is honest about the journey. They connect with someone who is willing to be seen in the messy mirror. The most viral content I have put out was not the most polished. And trust me, I'm not even talking in the video. If you can go check it, it has like 2,000 something. Like, I was not even talking in the video. It was the most honest.
It's
the
17
most
hours.
raw, the most real, because I was shy. I was trying to see if I can just post something. The audience is waiting for your voice, not your perfect voice, just your real voice, your authentic voice. You have to then shift to principle number 3. Speeds compound, perfectionism does not. I always have a problem saying perfectionism. That shows you how I'm not perfect, right? So, but anyway, let's go ahead. Every time you ship something, an episode, a product, or a post, a proposal, you get better. Your skill improve, your confidence grow, your audience grow, your feedback gets shorter. The faster you ship something, the faster you get feedback on it, the faster you can make adjustment. It's kind of like on the football field, soccer field, any game you want to play, basketball game. The faster you go ahead and score against a defense or a defense block you, the faster you can start making adjustment right there and then and ship back the best product that you can possibly ship. So that is what we call compounding. Every rep built on the last one. Every rep you are going to build is going to be based on the last one. Perfectionism doesn't compound, it starts. Every day you spend refining instead of shipping in a day, the compound interest doesn't run. The person who shipped 52 Imperfect podcast episodes in a year is light years ahead of the person who still perfectioning one episode. Trust me, I know about it because I see someone with whom I have started. Now he's making, we are not talking about money right now. We are talking about he's making millions of views. He has an audience. He has built what we call an authority. Why? Because he stuck with it while I did not. So you need to stick with it and you need to start something, because here's principle number 4. Real feedback is more valuable than internal criticism, because sometimes what you think is good might flop out there because people don't necessarily think it is. What you think is bad is something that for some reason people tend to like. Why? Because maybe in that video you didn't care. You were just being yourself. You were being authentic. So real feedback is more valuable than internal criticism, because internal, you are speaking to yourself. Nobody knows about it. Until they get out there, you do not have the real feedback. So right now, if your product or content is on ship, the only feedback you have is from yourself, right? It is from yourself, and you have the worst possible judge, and you are like probably the worst possible judge of your own work, because you see every flaw, you know every shortcut. It's your product, you know every shortcut, and you compare your rough draft to everyone else's polished final product. The moment you ship, you get real data, real reaction, real engagement, or real silence, which is also data, because no data is still data. It tells you something, right? Every single critic you get from the world is more valuable than every single critic you give yourself in private, because world feedback is real. Internal criticism is just fiction. You're speaking to yourself. That brings us to principle number 5. Done is the prerequisite for better. Done is the prerequisite for better. You cannot improve something that doesn't exist. You cannot optimize a product that was never launched. We learned this as a Scrum Master. As you guys know, I have many hats, and in the corporate world, I'm a Scrum Master, or was a Scrum Master, or I'm still am, but I'm working on my podcast right now. Either way, in what we call agile methodology, the creation of software, software development, we do not wait for a product or a software to be perfect before we launch it out in the real world. We launch it first, and as we are gathering data, we are improving. We have bugs. We find out what is working, what is not working. We go to production. We release dark. We release in dark. Like all of that. But if we don't give the people something, then we will never know if the product is good or not. You sometimes launch a product and nobody wants to use it because the market did not ask for it. It's still feedback. Then now you gather and you get what the market wants and you launch it out. So you cannot improve something that doesn't exist. You cannot optimize a product that was never launched. You cannot iterate on an audience that I will say you never try to build, because you never work with them. You never try to build that audience. Done is not the enemy of great. Done is just the prerequisite for great. You have to do something first. You have to give people something first, and then in return, they will give you some type of feedback. First you do, then you refine. Action breeds motivation. You start first. You start doing things first, and then the market will give you an answer back. Then you have now the opportunity to grow. You have now the opportunity to make adjustments. You have now the opportunity to win. You cannot get to step 3 without step 1. In Africa, they say don't look at the top of the mountain when you are trying to climb. Look right in front of you, step by step. And next thing you know, when you look up, you will be at the top of the mountain. That is how we are raised. And this is why you should go ahead and start. So let me tell you the honest story of how Bless One was launched. And this might take a little bit of time, guys, so I hope you guys are ready, because this is one thing that I want you to know. I had been unemployed, and by choice. I repeat, by choice, because I could have gone out there and looked for another job, right? But I have been unemployed by choice. I am building like multiple business simultaneously, which I don't really recommend, because I think it's best to focus on one. And right now, what I want to focus on is Bless One podcast, because I'm also doing alongside this what I call federal contracting with my company Montana Speed, and I have a plantainship brand, and of course, like I said, Bless One podcast, right? So that is what I'm currently working on. But I might find a way to maybe focus mostly on the podcast. And the podcast sat in my notebook. I need you guys to know this. It sat on my notebook for a long time. As you guys know, cultural awareness podcast, I was doing that for like the past 3 years. I start 1 episode, 2 episodes, and then I was nobody's going to listen. And yet I saw some people were liking it, but yet to me, I was like, I need meaningful impact right now, right? Like we are living in the age of right now. Because I kept asking myself, who am I to have a podcast? Who is going to listen to me? Right? Like I have an accent, man. I kept judging myself because I have an accent. I kept saying like, who is going to listen to this guy with an accent? But the reality is there are people out there. I kept saying like, what do I do? What do I know that people don't already know, right? That is always one of the caveat. Like you're always thinking like, oh man, this is cliche. People already know this, right? Is my story even interesting enough, right? Is my audio setup good enough? Like, are people going to be able to hear the knowledge past the accent? Because when you have an accent, like the person, when I say, hey, what's up? They are like, oh, are you Jamaican? Are you from Africa? You know what I mean? So it's like, I kept asking all these questions. I was doing what I now call the qualification spiral, right? Constantly asking yourself if you are qualified enough, like who are you to start, instead of starting and becoming qualified in the process, because you do not start when you are perfect. You start first and then you become perfect later, right? So my story from Cameroon to the NFL, agile, entrepreneurship, it's interesting to who? To me. But I kept waiting for external confirmation, right? That it will be interesting to others. Yet that's why I have this. If you go on my stand store, the link will be right on this podcast where you too can download my guide on how to monetize your story, right? It's only $27. If you want to get it, go ahead and get it. It's only $27, at least for right now, because as I'm making improvement on it, it's going to get a little bit more expensive. You have the opportunity right now to get the raw authentic before we start adding more and more and more to it, because at some point it might be go up to like $5,000 offer. If you want to, you can also join my workshop where I will coach you exactly step by step on how you too can go ahead and monetize your story. Maybe the things that you always wanted to do is to start a podcast. I will literally hold your hand, not a team member. Me personally, I will hold your hand and walk you step by step on how I got it started. And I can give you homework that you can do each week to be able to improve yourself, to be able to improve your audio, because don't wait for perfection, right? So like I was saying, with my story from like Cameroon, NFL, agile, entrepreneurship, I thought it was only interesting to me, but I didn't think that it would interest others. So I kept waiting for permission I was never going to get, right? Because no one is going to give you permission. People are just waiting for you to do something, to post something. So the breakthrough came when I stopped asking, am I ready? And then I started asking, what is the cost of waiting? Because Jim Brown once, I keep quoting Jim Brown, but he once said that if you do not take action, the difference between today and tomorrow is what? It's not going to be a surprise. It's going to be the same because you did not change anything in your life. So you might as well change something by getting started right now, right? Because when you are waiting, while I was waiting, other people, this is funny. Other people with less experience, less of a story, who didn't even migrate like me. Like, I'm not judging anyone, but less experience, less qualification, less story more interesting than yours, are in a mission. They are they are there. They are recording episodes. They are building audience, and guess what? They are making adjustment. They were establishing authority way before you, the person that you think that, oh, I need to adjust first. Oh, you're asking yourself questions like, should I post? Should I not post? Guess what? Other people are building that exact authority, right, in the exact space you want to be in. So guess what? I shipped my first episode, right? So I just ship it. Imperfect audio, it didn't matter. Imperfect setup, it didn't matter. Imperfect me, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I have to first start with one before I get to 10, 20. And something surprise happened. People are connecting. Not because my product is polished, not because my audio. You guys can see me talking. I have been doing this now consistently for the past 2 months. You guys can see that if you look at the first episode to now, I am making adjustment as I am doing it. So it's not because I am polished. Maybe because I am just real. It's just me. Because there's a human being connection. There's real me. This is not an AI speaking. This is really me. Everyone has their spot. Some people are using AI to do their video. They clone themselves. They do, but I'm not doing that. This is me. And I'm not saying that my version is more or is better than anyone else. It's just that I am trying to give the real authentic me. Right? So my microphone was like, I just decided that, hey, I'm going to use my microphone, my camera setup that you guys can see, and I'm going to make my own comeback. I'm not like reporting from like the finish line or anything like that. No, that is what the people are waiting for or were waiting for. Not the perfection, not the permission, not like permission from someone else's real story to be believed, like to believe in their own. No, they are just waiting for the authentic me. You don't give that permission by being perfect, no, and you do not get that permission either by being perfect. You give it by being honest. You give it by being authentic. You give it by being yourself. This is your action step. So your action step is this one thing. I want you to take the thing you have been almost ready to launch, the product, the content, the business, the application, like, or maybe a set of a set of items that you have maybe put in your notepad. Set a shipping date, because if you do not set that date, you will never do it. Set a shipping date. Say no matter what, by tomorrow, by Sunday, by Friday, I will be shipping this product. I will be posting this first episode. I will be doing this. I will be doing that by this set date. Not when it is ready, not when you have finished, polished the whole thing. No, an actual calendar date that is real with yourself. Do not lie to yourself. 2 weeks from today, no more. You need to get it done. Like no more than 2 weeks. You have to set it up. And then I want you to ask yourself, what is the minimum viable version of this? Now I'm getting into agile, right? What is the minimum viable thing or version of this thing that could exist in the next 2 weeks? We call it in agile methodology MVP, minimal viable product, right? So what is the minimal version of this that I could ship out to people and see their reaction so I can gather feedback? We call it MVP. Like not the full version, maybe. Maybe you are not ready for the full version yet. Just something. Instead of maybe posting your full YouTube 15, 20 minute long, how about you post your first short? Right? It's only 45 seconds. You test the water. You see, do I get at least one like? I was just so happy when I posted my first shot, my first episode, and it had like 3 views on it. I was just happy that someone saw it. I was just happy. I was excited. I was like, oh, 3 people. So that means next time I'm posting, I can get 4. Because if I'm getting at least 1 person each day, next thing you know, it will become exponential, right? So you don't need to wait for the full version. You don't need to, you can just send what we call the MVP, our minimum viable product, in this case, minimum viable version of the product that you are trying to send out or to put it out there for people to see. You don't have to wait for it to be polished. So the version that already exists, the version that is real, the version that can receive some type of feedback from people, you can ship that. And when the voice in your head says it is not good enough, answer it with this. And I'm going to read now. Answer it with this. Good enough to exist beats perfect enough to stay in my head. Good enough to exist beats perfect enough to stay in my head. Every time you need to say to yourself, set the date, ship the damn thing, man. Improve from there. Go ahead, get better, man. If you don't do it now, you will never be able to do it. Set the date and ship the damn thing. So I started this episode by asking you, how long have you been almost ready? I want to end by telling you this. You are ready right now, actually. You are ready right now, not because you have everything figured out, but because you never will. And waiting for that moment is the longest, most expensive decision you can take. You are ready right now. If you do not make a decision right now, not because you have everything figured out, you never will. And waiting for the moment is the longest, like waiting for that moment is the longest, most expensive decision you can make or afford right now. The podcast you ship today will be better in the next 6 months. The product you launch today will improve with feedback. The audience you start building with 10 listeners will be 1,000 listeners a year from now. But that can only happen if you start. But if you don't start, there's also consequences and the price to pay. If you want to get out of the rat race, you have to start right now. This is Bless One Podcast, setback to comeback. And the first comeback is from your own hesitation. You need to start today. And I would suggest for you to subscribe to my podcast, share with someone who need to hear this, share with someone who have been putting aside their business idea, share with someone who needed to hear this in order for them to start on something or to launch that thing that they have always wanted to launch but didn't have the courage to do so. Go and ship the thing. And of course, God bless. Peace.